one of the biggest upsets of the weekend. I don't know if it was the biggest upset, but an upset that I had called coming into the weekend was the Browns and the Bengals. We saw that Joe Burrow's calf clearly had an effect. The no preseason had an effect. And the big contract weighed very, very heavy on Joe Burrow in this game. All the guys that got paid this week, Joe Burrow didn't play well. Jalen Hurts didn't play good. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't play great. He played okay. Obviously, they won the football game. Justin Herbert was all right. He had a shootout. His offense put up 34 points. And then we had, Lamar Jackson, who was okay as well. So these contracts weighed very heavy in week one of the NFL. But now Joe Burrow is 1 for 5 against the Browns. He's over 3 on the road against the Browns. And he was literally miserable for 60 straight minutes in this football game. The Bengals have to get it together. If the Bengals continue to let this type of offensive line be porous one week and solid the next, it's going to be another Andrew Luck situation. It's going to be a laundry list of injuries on Deshaun Watson, like we've seen in the past when he was with the Houston Texans, with, you know, upper body, lower body injuries. Joe Burrow's already had his knee blown out. We don't want to continue to see that from a team that literally got turned around in a season or two. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the way that the defense came together, Zach Taylor's job is in question, and now it's kind of not. Back-to-back AFC title games from a guy that in 2 healthy seasons, he'll take you there. Imagine what the line can be. Now, they did only give up 2 sacks on the day, but Joe Burrow was hit on his first drop back, and that literally was an effect of the entire football game. He was 14 for 31 on his passes, unfortunately. 82 yards. He was pulled from the game with under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Jamar Chase caught 5 passes for 39 yards. Joe Mixon had 56 yards on 13 carries. This team had 6 first downs, 2.6 yards per play. They were 2 of 15 on third down. Joe Burrow had career worst in completion percentage at 45.2, passing yards at 82, yards per attempt at 2.6, the same as the yards per play, and tied his career worst in team points with 3. Again, he is 1-5 versus the Browns, and he has been sacked 20 times in those matchups. Because so the Browns are basically due for a sack a quarter against Joe Burrow. Speaking of the way that the Browns were all over Joe Burrow, Myles Garrett, Darius Smith, Jim Schwartz's defensive scheme was amazing. And I said this front seven this year, this defense is going to be a main part. I believe the offense can be elite as well. Deshaun Watson will return to form. I have no question about that. And they really didn't miss a beat, even with losing Jack Conklin, who's a big part of the O-line. DeJuan Jones fits in perfectly in the offense. Now, they might have pitched a shutout if it wasn't for an 18-yard pass interference in this game that pushed the Bengals into field goal range. But again, Zadarius Smith, Shelby Harris, talk about the additions, Dalvin Tomlinson, Okoronkwo. Those guys meshed, and Jim Schwartz is doing a good job, and I can't wait to see what this defense is going to be for the rest of the year. Jim Schwartz had that praise coming in. I'm excited about what he's really going to do. We had the law firm of Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, 49 combined yards. Talk about a true defensive testament to what they did. Myles Garrett with the 13-yard sack on the 4th and 4 that put the dagger into the game. And of course, Deshaun Watson is a talk of this game as well. The conditions didn't help anybody. I'll have slack for Joe Burrow for having the worst game of his career because we've seen that if you're playing in conditions like that, Joe Burrow literally switched to a glove to try to get grip on the football in that game. And it wasn't able to happen. Deshaun Watson kind of didn't mesh well with the conditions early on either. But even with Deshaun Watson kind of playing, not even kind of playing better than Burrow, from the eye test, it didn't feel like it was much because we know what both of these quarterbacks are capable of. Deshaun Watson had some throws that were just low and short. He threw late to a streaking Marquise Goodwin early in the game on what really could have been a touchdown. We've seen him connect on that time and time again with DeAndre Hopkins before. He throws at the feet of Amari Cooper on a key 3rd and long in the second quarter. And this just isn't Deshaun Watson. These are throws that we know he hits, but we know that he's still probably got to shake some rust off from missing an entire season, missing 11 games. I mean, really missing about 30 straight eligible NFL starts. If clearly he would have stayed on the up and up with what was happening off the field. Deshaun Watson, again, 16 of 29, 154 yards. He did have a touchdown and an interception. And again, some nice throws in the game, but in a loaded AFC, knowing how the week one just played out, the Browns are going to have to do more. Deshaun Watson is going to have to do more. He did have rushing and passing touchdowns, and clearly that was enough to win. But at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson is going to have to be like competing with Mahomes, competing with, if they possibly, see the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Not saying that the Browns are going to the Super Bowl, but there are a lot of high caliber quarterbacks. The Browns defense is good. The Browns are one of the most loaded rosters in the league, and I love what they bring to the table. I'd love for it to all click. Stefanski, I believe, is going to be able to hold things down. He dealt with a Baker that was good with lightning in a bottle. Then Baker regresses again. Then Deshaun Watson out. for 11 games because Baker leaves, $230 million guaranteed contract. So Kevin Stefanski's has some shit to work with here, but I really think the Browns are going to be able to do some awesome things. We want to see more out of that Bengals offense, no doubt, but that Browns defense was the story of this game.